Hello once again. So before we start, first thing we will use in this video is this weapons package. You can find it in the asset store. It's free. It's a very good package, so consider supporting the creator. Second thing, you will find in the a link below a file that has some new animations, so that we can have rifles in our game. Okay, when you import it, go to rig, make it a humanoid, and make sure animations like where is it? Like the fire is at loop time, loop pause. This will also be at loop time, loop pause, and hit apply. We're gonna add in this video we will add the functionality to change weapons in our game. One will be a rifle, the other will be a gun. The gun we already had. We will make some fixes to our controllers, so when you download the weapons, take the rifle you want. I'm using the M4A1, however you call it. Put it in the right hand of our character, and inside the rifle add an empty game object, which will be our bullet spawn point, and another empty game object that is going to be our hunt, the target of our IK, and we will see how to fix this to have a more accurate position. So now, after you do all this, open up the animator. Let's start dropping more animations. Go to our rifle, to the rifle blend, which is our animations, and now we need the animation that is going to be our aim. Make a transition. Of course, the conditions we want is aim to be on true, but right now we have two transitions that have the same conditions for the animator to go. So this will make the first animation the animator finds and transits to that condition. So we don't want that. So we will add a new parameter, and it's going to be an integer, and we will call it weapon. And on our conditions we will add one more, and we will say weapon equals to 0. If weapon equals to 0, then it will transit to our pistol aim, we will call it, so that we don't confuse it. And on our conditions to the rifle we will say if weapon equals to 1, then we will transition to our rifle aim. And as exit time we will say if aim is false, and we will add another transition. Notice that we add another transition, not another condition. So there are two ways for this state to transit back to the empty, and we will say if weapon not equals to 1, that means the player one doesn't have a rifle, so we want to backtrack to the empty state, and since the weapon the integer value of our weapon will change and probably will be 0, then the mechanism will automatically transit to our pistol aim, and we will add the same for our pistol aim. We will say if not equal 0, then we'll return back to empty. Okay, so we have our transition to our rifle aim. We want a transition to fire, and we'll simply set the trigger and return the transition with exit time. Now we will add and the rifle reload. We don't have a reload for the pistol yet, but don't worry about that, it's the same. The functionality will be the same, just add the animation when you have it. And we will simply add a new trigger, which we will call reload. Now this, of course, if the player is not aiming, will not transist to this. So you can simply make a transition from the empty, and you will say if reload, and make a transition back to the empty, and you will say here if the reload is triggered and the weapon is equals to 1, then play this reload, and when it exits the reload state, if the aiming is false, return back to the empty, but if it's true, then return to our rifle aim. So that's it for this layer. Let's go back to the upper layer, to lower on the override. The way mechanism overrides it is with a weight over here. Okay, so we have our transition here from this empty state to transit to pistol idle when the aiming is false. We will add a new one a new condition that will say if the weapon equals to 0. We will do the same as before. If the weapon does not equals to 0, then return to the empty state. And we will add, there is 2 animations in the hold rifle. Inside the rifle, the animations you downloaded. I'll just drop the second one. You can choose whatever you like, and let's do the same for this. Not reload, weapon equals 1, and aim is false. Make a new transition from the hold rifle to the empty, and say if aim is true, or the weapon not equals to 1. Okay, we will see later how this works some more. So let's go back to our character. But now we need to fix some stuff from our previous videos. Let's go open up our user input script. So our user input, let's see, let's go back down to the update. Now we don't want this. Here we have our get mouse button, and if you click here, you hit play, you'll see that if we hit, it keeps firing all the time. No, we don't want that to do. So for now we'll just simply say get mouse button down. Now let's go back. Nope, wait a minute. Yes, so let's start. First off, let's organize our script a little bit. So we will call a system dot serializable, so because we want it to be saved, this class, and we call this class IK, so that we can have them more organized, and we want this to be a serialized field, and we will call it public IK. So now that we have changed this stuff, on our late update, which is here, we need wait a minute, yes, here we need to add some changes. So it takes from inside the new class we made it, otherwise this will give you errors. Let's go back to Unity, see if we have any errors. Okay, so with this now, as you can see here, we have all the IK stuff into a drawer here. So let's drop the spine once again inside there. Now we will need another boolean that's gonna help us debug our aiming, which let's just put it here, and we will say public bool, which we will call debug aim. And on our update we want our aim to have the same value as our right click, only if we are not debugging, because we will jump in and out of debugging mode, so we can place our IK and our targets to, to change some little details. We don't want to jump in and out and comment in, comment out, all this stuff. So now we need a reference to our IK script. Now this we won't need, so delete the particle system, and in here delete this and delete this. We will see how to make it. We won't actually accessing our weapons from here. We will make a control script for our weapons, and we will always be accessing from there everything we need. But for now, let's add a reference to our custom IK script, which we will call custom IK. And of course we will need this to get components in children custom IK. Okay, so that's it for now. Let's go back to Unity. Let's go back to our scripts, and we have an error, and the error is it's not, the script is not capitalized, the name of the script. So now let's create a C# script. We will call this weapon manager. This script will go into our character, or every character. We don't want this to be inside our user input because we want to reuse the same, to have the same scripts into our enemies, so we don't have to write this stuff all again. And we want another script which we will call weapon control. So let's go to our weapon. Let's do first the weapon we already have, and let's take the audio source from here, from our bullet spawn point where we had it, and drop it to the top so we can access it directly without searching the children, and open it up. So let's start by adding our variables. The first variable we will need is a public boolean that it's going to help us to determine if the weapon we have right now is equipped or not, because we won't disable and enable our weapons. We will just put them in their unequipped. We will have an unequipped position and an equipped position, so we have a more nice effect than just simply disabling and enabling weapons. But before we do this, let's go to our weapon manager. We want to for now we will only add a public enum, which we will call weapon type, and here we will store what kind of types of weapon we want. For now we'll just have a pistol and a rifle. If we want more, of course we'll just add it right here, but since I don't have it right now, I'll simply delete this. So let's go back to our weapon control. Now the next thing we will need is something to determine what kind of weapon we use, and this is by calling the enumerator from our weapon manager, which is the weapon type, and we'll simply call weapon type. Now for some variables that will determine the stats of our weapon, and we will say we need an integer that is going to be the maximum ammo our clip has. On top of that, let's add, let's make this max clip ammo, and let's make the above max ammo. Now for the max clip ammo, I just added 30 here, because we are doing the rifle first. Or yeah, anyway, it's public, so don't worry, we can change this from the inspector, doesn't matter. Now the next thing we will need is an integer which will be our current ammo. And for now we will need a public boolean that it's going to be if the weapon has burst fire. So if it's an automatic weapon, if we hold the right click, the left click, we fire a lot of bullets, and if it's not, it fires only one. Now we need a reference to our hand position, to where the hand, the AK, for the AK target, the hand placement. We need a bullet prefab, our bullet prefab, and some internal variables, which is going to be our spawned bullet, our spawned particle, the game object of our spawned particle. So because we will add the components from it, we will automate the procedure of adding some components in it. We will need, of course, the particle system and our weapon manager, which we will just call parent control. We will need another boolean that is gonna help us start our function, and we'll need the audio source, of course. Let's just call it audio source, and the animator of our weapon. We don't have animations right now, but later on we will need it. So now we need something that will help us determine which position the weapon should have if the player has equipped it, or if it's not, where the position of the holster will be for our gun. So the way, let's just add a header over here so that we don't confuse ourselves. This will, of course, this has an error. Yeah, and it has the error because we don't have something beneath it. And if you see here right now, this just add a title above our variables. So let's go back to our script. So now, if it has an owner, that means we override their position, because the weapon might be on the ground. If somebody's died, the weapon will be dropped and stuff like that. So first off, we need a boolean that is gonna help us determine if we have an owner or not. A vector 3, which will be our equip position. Another vector 3 that's going to be our equip rotation, and another vector 3 which will be our unequip position, and another which will be our unequip rotation. Now, because we will be changing a lot the parents, and because we change the scale, if you see the weapons over here, they don't exactly have a 1 on X, 1 on Y, 1 on Z, and it's the same for all weapons. So this might make Unity lose the scale and have a wrong scale. So we will just add the debug scale over here. And now Of course, when we unequip the weapon, we don't want it to still be parented on our hand. So we want it, and we don't want all weapons to have the same place to holster. So if you have a rifle, you don't want it to be holstered to your right leg. So we need a way to determine this. We just make a new enum. We will call it rest position, and for right now we will write right hip and waist. You can add all body parts over here, but since I'm only using these two, I don't have to do it. So on our start, first off, we need our current ammo to be our maximal ammo, and our bullet spawn game object is the instantiated bullet prefab. We just give it the transform.position. It doesn't matter because we already have the copy direction script which places it to the correct position, so just give it the position we already have. We'll keep it the same rotation, and we cast it as a game object. So on that game object, we want to add the component of copy direction. How did we call it? Oh yeah, we call it particle direction. We want to add the component of particle direction, and to that script we want the weapon, the particle will have the same direction. It's our bullet where is it? Which one was bullet? I think I forgot something, so yes, we need another transfer over here, which is the bullet spawn. Which is the bullet spawn point, and we'll simply use that. So with this here, instead of dropping our particle prefab inside our hierarchy, dropping our particle direction script, and dropping our bullet spawn point, we want this particle to have the same direction. We just simply automate all the procedure, so it's easier for us and for other people that work in our team that don't have the same coding experience as we do. So you get less errors that way if you automate procedures. So now we need, of course, our particle system, and that will be from our bullet spawn game object. We will get the component of particle system. So next off we need the audio source. Next off our animator, which is get component animator. Where is it? And of course the scale will be our starting scale. Now that we have this, first off, let's make a public function that we will simply call fire, and when this is called, it will simply turn true our fire bullet. So inside update now, first thing we want to debug our scale. We use local scale because the local scale can easily be world scale if it doesn't find if it's not a child of a game object, but sometimes if you use scale instead of local scale you invite more trouble than you want. So next off we will say if the weapon is equipped, our transform.parent is equals our transform get component in parent weapon manager dot transform get component animator dot get bone transform human body bones dot right hand. So now that was a big line, let's see what we did here. So we want the parent of our transform to be the animator of our character, but if we write get component in parent, we might have more animators in here. We might have 10 game objects in here that have an animator. So we say go find our weapon manager, which will always be to the root, to the topmost position game object anyway, because we might have an empty game. We don't use transform.root because we might have all our enemies inside an empty game object, so we can have them there. So with this we simply navigate to the top of our hierarchy and take this animator over here, and this of course gives an error because the audio source needs to be capitalized. Now another way to do all this, so you don't have to write all this stuff, is simply make a parent animator over here, which we can do, but we won't do it right now because if we add it on start, the weapon might not even be might not have a user. So it's best if you use it it's best to search for the animator when we are sure that we have an animator toward the top, that the weapon it belongs to a character anyway, and you call get bone transform, which is a mechanism derived from the mechanism of the animator. And since we're using humanoid rigs, we can simply call the right hand using the human body bones enumerator. So enough with this. let's move fast to the next stuff, or let's move anyway. So the next thing we need, let's change the local position, which will be our equip position, and let's change our local rotation, which will be quaternion.euler equip rotation, and we will say if our current ammo is higher than 0, if fire bullet reduce our current ammo, emit our bullet, play the sound, and on our weapon animator set trigger, we call it fire, and close the fire bullet. Right now we don't have an animations on our weapon, so let's comment this out. So if not, if we had 0 ammo, then we will say our current ammo is equals to the maximum ammo, or maybe we change that. So our current ammo is actually our maximum clip ammo, and our current ammo is equals maximum clip ammo, and maximum clip ammo is yeah, we will see later, because we need to add the starting the maximum number. Oh no, yes, and our maximum ammo minus equals maximum clip ammo. So over here we need if max ammo is equals all higher our maximum clip ammo, if it's not, then our current ammo is the maximum clip ammo minus, or maybe maximum clip ammo minus max ammo. So this will find us the difference between our maximum clip ammo and the maximum ammo. And of course, since we have the difference, we simply subtract this from the maximum clip ammo, and the current ammo will be the same, will be the result of this. So let's just add a debug log over here. So that we know we have reloaded, and then so this all stuff will happen when the weapon is reloaded, is equipped. If it's not, and it has an owner, so it's not on the ground, then we will simply say to determine the rest position, we'll use a switch statement. So we will say if the case of rest position is the right hip, and if the case of rest position is the waist, use break, and the same way as above. We copy paste it inside our switch, and instead of the right hand, right here we will simply use, doesn't have right hip but it has right upper leg, and as for the waist we'll simply use hips, or you can use spine. I've used spine in the other script, so I use spine over here. So we find the parent using our switch. We determine which parent we want our transform to have using our switch, and after that you of course once again change the unequip position and change our rotation to be. Later on we will see how you find these positions. It's pretty easy stuff. We just make it this way so we can have more, so other people that don't know scripting can change all this stuff, so you don't have to do it every time. Save the script, and that's it about our weapon control system, our weapon control. So right now we want to write our weapon manager. Now we will use a list over here, so we need to add the namespace of generic, and this is by using system.collection.generic. Next we will need a list, public list of game objects, which will be our weapon list. And let's initialize it from here, and we need a weapon control that is going to be the active weapon. We make it public because we want it to be accessed from other scripts, and we want our weapon number, which will help us find which weapon we have is active on the list. Next we need of course a public weapon type so that we know what we are using, and a reference to a custom IK, and of course the animator of our player. So now we want to automate some more stuff, and to our IK, if you remember inside this is switch rest position. Let's see, fix this error. Oh yes, we make the enumerator over here, but of course we haven't we want a way to set this up, and the way we do this is just adding a public rest position and change that in the switch and put it here. With the capital R we call the class, with this we call the variable of the class. That's where the error was. So back to our script. Now we want to automate some more stuff, and if you remember, inside our IK we have stuff for the target, for the elbow, and all this stuff over here. Now we want to automate all this stuff, so we don't have to drag and drop them every time, and so that they can change anytime we change the weapon, because for the pistol you might not want to have the same position as you will have. The elbow might not want to have the same position as the rifle. So let's go back to our weapon manager, and we will make another serializable public class, which we will say IK target pose, and let's add some headers over here. We call the first targets, and we need public transform hand placement and another public transform which will be a rainbow placement. Now the hand placement will be automatically taking the hand placement from the current active weapon, so we don't want to change positions from here, but for the elbow we want to automate this stuff. So let's add another header over here. Let's call it elbow positions, and this is a public vector 3 elbow pistol position. Now, because I've already done this project before and I know and I have saved the values, I'll hard code it over here. If you want to write along, if you're using the same models, the position, the X of the elbow pistol position is minus 2.30 F, 0.9 F, 2.78 F. The way you will simply do that, you will find these positions, just simply hit play, position it to the right place where you find it's correct, and write down the X, Y and Z and simply copy paste it over here or write it from the inspector. Now I'll do the same for the rifle. Let's just keep the same over here, doesn't matter, and let's just add another boolean so that we can debug our IK. We will see later how we use this, so don't worry about that. Let's start with our initialization. Let's say our custom IK is equals get component children custom IK, and our active weapon is actually our weapon list with our weapon number, which in this case is 0, so it's the first weapon we will find inside the list, and we will say weapon control. Now of course this we assume that the player starts with weapons. If we don't want to start with weapons, you can simply say, if you want to be more cautious than we are, you can simply say weapon list dot count is higher than 0 and put all the below code we will write inside this. So we like to live dangerously, so we don't do it right now. So an IK target position So where is it? Oh, wait a minute. Yes. So arcade target position, which once again we haven't we are using the class, we forgot to actually store it inside a variable. So ik target position dot hand placement is actually the hand placement of the active weapon, hand position dot transform. So this is actually this. It will take, so if you go to our weapon control, to the first weapon we used, and drop the weapon control inside our weapon, and if you drop the hand placement over here, it will simply automatically take it. So while we're here, let's just drop our bullet spawn point and our bullet prefab. I'll just make it quickly prefab over here. Don't do it like me, be more organized. It saves a lot of headaches later. So all this, let's book maximum ammo, let's make it 70. It's a pistol, so let's make it a 7 bullets, and all this stuff we want it to be saved on the right hip, and we'll come later to fix all this stuff over here, so don't worry about them. Let's go jump back into our weapon manager script. So okay, so we put the hand placement of our target position to be to take that position from the active weapon we already have, and of course we want our elbow position to be a new game object dot transform. Since we don't have to drop it to make it from the inspector, we'll just automate all this procedure. And of course we want the active weapon to be equipped. Now on our custom IK, our target we want to be the IK target position dot hand placement, and again on our custom IK dot elbow target we want this to be our elbow placement we just made, and of course we want the elbow placement to be parented under this transform. Next we create the animator, and let's make a for each loop. So every weapon we have inside our weapon list, so for each game object go in weapon list, we want to tell him that it has an owner. So every weapon will have its correct position. Let's see what else we have over here. Let's start with our helper functions, our helper methods, before we go into update. Hope you can watch over there. So we need a public void, which is our fire active weapon, and we'll say if active weapon is not equals null, so we have a weapon, call the fire function, which in turn goes over here, makes the fire bullet true, and the fire bullet wait a minute, I think we have an error over here. We messed up a little the positions. No, so if fire bullet nope, yes, yeah, wait a minute, god damn it. So anyway, let's just go with it right now. So if we have if array mode is not at 0, you fire the bullet and you reduce the ammo. Yeah, this should be over here actually. Let me just fix this. And this should be inside the fire bullet. So you fire the bullet, you are called to fire the bullet if we have ammo inside our weapon. So if our current ammo is higher than 0, subtract, emit the particle, play the audio source, and close the fire bullet. If we don't, do all these checks over here, we have, and close the fire bullet. Okay, let's go back to our weapon manager. So we make this function public so we can access it from the user input over here, but we will do it later. Let's finish with this script. Now we're running near an hour, so let's try and make it faster. So next function we will need, it's also a public function which we will call change weapon, and we add a boolean over here. This function we will call it when we move the middle mouse, the mouse wheel. I don't know how you call it a click, move, anyway, whatever. We will call this function to change the weapon, to change the weapons we hold, but the player might make it an upwards movement of the mouse wheel or a downwards movement. So, and we want it to have a linear transition. So we just add a boolean here to determine if the mouse wheel axis has a greater than 0.1 value or lower than 0.1 value. And of course, first off, we will need to see if we have more than one weapon inside our weapon list, and we will say the active weapon we have right now is not equipped, and if is ascending, let me just so you can see better, and we say if weapon number is lower than our weapon list dot count -1, then add to it. If not, weapon number equals to 0. And if we're not ascending but descending, you simply go and say if the weapon number is higher than 0, weapon number, we subtract from our weapon number and say else our weapon number equals weapon list dot count -1. We put the -1 over here because the count starts from 0 or from 1. Anyway, we put the -1 because otherwise the how you call it, anyway, you get an error because the count counts how many. So if you have 10 game objects, the list count will say 10, but the ID of your weapons, because it starts from 0, the maximum number will be 9. So this will say him take the 10, but there is not a weapon number 10 because it starts from 0, so you simply subtract 1 from it. So now that we have our helper functions, let's quickly go inside our update. Next, so we just copy some of the stuff from here. Will be the same as the first time we did it. So we say the active weapon is the weapon list with the current active weapon, and the hand placement is the active weapon's hand position, and of course equipped have our active weapon on equipped, and our custom ik.target equals our ik.target hand placement. Now the weapon type we have right now is the active weapon the weapon type of the active weapon, and we will say if it's not in debug the IK, we simply say weapon type, we make a switch with our weapon types, and we'll say if weapon type dot pistol and case weapon type dot rifle, and right now you will say change the integer of the weapon, change the integer inside our animator, which we call weapon 0, so it will play the animations of the pistol, and the elbow placement of RIK, it will be RIK turbo save RIK target position dot elbow pistol position. And for our rifle we'll do the same, but instead we will change the integer to 1, so it plays the animations of the rifle, and the elbow position will be the stored elbow rifle position. And this is for this script. Right now let's see if we have any errors. We have a few warnings, we will take care of them later. Let's hit play right now. As you can see here, we get some errors because, let's see why is this. Yeah, because we haven't thrown any weapon inside our weapon list firstly. So let's drop that. Let's see what happens again. Okay, so we only get null reference exceptions right now. We will see, let's fix some stuff. Let's see what we forgot to add, and it's not that. Oh yeah, for some reason the weapon wasn't assigned. So let's see over here why this happened. Let's go, where is it, bullet spawn, weapon control, yes. No, alright, bullet spawn, yes. Let's just drop that. Where is the bullet prefab, bullet? Let's see if it gets any errors right now. It still gets the error. Give me a second. Okay. Oh yeah, because we made the prefab with already the script inside, and we tell the script from our weapon control script to add the script again. If you see here, this is what we take from the prefab, and this is the clone. As you see here, there are exactly the same scripts, so it takes the first script it will find, which is this, and puts it there, but the second it remains empty. So we get the null reference error from there. So let's just remove the script over here, and you will see here that we still get the same error for some. Oh yeah, of course we haven't applied the particle, and as you see here it's the same, but of course as you see it doesn't look exactly that great right now. So let's go make some more fixes, and first of all let's go here. Let's see how we can save these positions for if we are equipped, or if we are not. Let's disable the rifle over here. So the equip position, it's pretty easy. It's exactly the position we have right now, and we just copy paste them over here. Make sure you copy paste the whole number, or enough at least. So now we have over here the equipped position and rotation. But how can we find the unequipped position and the unequipped rotation? But before we do that, let's just take all this, copy it, and paste it inside our rifle. And let's paste also our audio source for now, so that we don't get errors. And let's add an animator over here. this is gonna be a longer video, but anyway, we cover a lot of stuff. So now we have two weapons. Let's make the rifle to be at the waist. Let's make the maximum clip ammo to be 30. Let's give it a count burst, although it doesn't do any much. As for the rifle, let's give it his own positions, his own correct positions. And hit Ctrl S to save. And let's go to our weapon list and drop the rifle also. And if we hit play, you will see here that our rifle has vanished, but of course it doesn't exactly has vanished, it has gone inside our player. So right now we have the rifle parented inside the spine, so you can simply go over here, fix it to have the correct position and rotation you want it to have, and simply copy paste the new values to your unequipped position and to your unequipped rotation. Click this, copy component, stop, paste component values, hit play, and as you can see here, we have the correct position to the unequipped, to our unequipped gun. Let's do the same for our pistol, but I've already have found this so that we don't have to do it all over again, the same stuff. If you want to have the same, use 0.0796, the Y will be minus 0.038, the Z will be 0.1047, Agent 47, the X will be 350.2708, the Y rotation will be 172.86, and the Z will be 12.5422. Okay, the rifle position will be right hip, and if you see over here, if we put the rifle first and the pistol second, and if we hit play, you can see the pistol sits nicely at the right hip, but of course, as you can see here, the IK give us a little problem because of course we haven't fixed it yet. Let me see what else we need to use over here. So that was, we can delete the empty elbow game object from our previous video, and let's go back to our custom IK. First though, let's just simply jump into our character movement script and do some changes. So first off, let's add over here, if you notice, when we are aiming, sometimes when there is input to the left and the right, he starts moving. So to fix that, let's just override, let's just say do not manipulate the floats inside the animator when we are aiming, and that takes care of that. And another thing we want to add over here, because we want to automate the procedure of the custom IK, we will just add a public transform left hand over here, and or our setup animator, we will say after you have get the animator from the children, the first animator of the children, the left hand we want to be the animator get bone transform human body bones, human body bones left hand. So with that, let's go back to our custom IK script. So let's add the reference to the animator of the parent, of our parent, and we'll say get component in parent animator. And the next thing we need is the hand. Let's make this, we don't want to have them public anymore, so we don't have any problems. So we take the position of the hand, and the hand of course will be the store hand we have on our character movement script. Now we don't use the animator, we can simply use this animator to get bone transform as we did in the character movement script, but because all this will happen at the same moment, if this animator in this frame doesn't already have the correct avatar, so if we simply straight use this animator, it will always return a null transform, so it will never have a transform over here, it will never assign, because we could make to change the children. This actually get component in parent, not children. We can say him to go inside our children and take this animator, but because these scripts run first and our character movement script deletes this animator and puts the avatar over here, and because we have because we get some errors if we just take the transform from here, we simply save the left hand to our character movement we have stored in our character movement, because we already setting up this animator, so we have less errors and it's more it's easier to follow that way. So if you didn't understand it, don't worry, it's pretty simple anyway. So we have this way we find our left hand. Just do it this way, so you won't get errors. And now that we have all this, now that we have our hand, we can simply say the forearm of course will be the parent of the hand, and the upper arm will of course be the parent of the forearm. So that's about it for this, and instead of calling the inside the is enabled inside our late update. If we remember, we set it to have if the IK is enabled only if we are aiming, but we'll make it another way over here, and we will just call it if animator get current animator state info from the third layer. Remember, layer starts from 0, so 0 is the base, 1 is our right hand, and second is our aiming and shooting. And we will say is tag aim is enabled equals true, else is enabled equals false. And so let me see over here if we have anything else we need to change. We can also there's some stuff over here, or not over here. Yeah, we have some variables. I think these are those over here that we don't even need later on. But anyway, let us not mess it for now. Let's not find it now. We're already at 1 hour and a half, so let's move on. So what this is, let's go back to our animator once again, because as you see here, if we are aiming, we want to have the when we are reloading, we don't want to keep the same position, to keep the hand at the same position. We want him to play the reload animation. We want the left hand to do what it's supposed to do. But we also don't have a way to open close the IK easily, because right now we are opening and we are enabling and disabling the weight of our IK when we hit the right click. So instead of doing that way, you can simply assign tags to our animation states, and we'll simply go to any state we want to have the IK to be enabled. You can select it and say tag is aim, and tag aim and aim. So now the IK will only be enabled or disabled every time we pass the animator is on a state that has a tag of aim, but it will only be this layer. So if I go over here and insert the tag of aim over here, it will not enable the IK, because we are saying check only this layer. I hope it was easy to understand this, but it's simply like using triggers. We just check the IK if the tag of our animator state, and if it's aim, enable the IK. If not, then disable it. Let's go back to our user input, and we're getting close in finishing, so don't worry. Where is our user input? Let me see. Yes. So we have the reference to our custom IK, we have the reference to our animator, and we need the reference to our weapon manager. And we simply say get component weapon manager. So now that we have all the references set up, you can simply go into our update. We have added the debug, and we can say if aim input get mouse button 0 and fire. But because we have also automatic weapons, we can say if weapon manager dot active weapon dot can burst. So if the weapon manager, if the active weapon we have can't have burst mode, then simply do what we are doing, what we are already doing over here. So take the fire only when the mouse button is down. The first frames the mouse button is down. Play the fire animation and simply call our weapon manager and say fire active weapon. So it just automates all this procedure. And if we have, if it can fire in burst mode, you simply say if input get mouse button, play the trigger of shoot as you are here. I think it's this. Oh, it's fire. So if it can shoot, get mouse button 0, fire the active weapon, and set trigger to fire. And now with that we have this, let's say if input get axis mouse scroll wheel is not equal 0. That means if we have movement on the mouse scroll wheel, we check what kind of movement we have, and if the scroll wheel is lower than minus 0.1, then call the weapon manager or change weapon to false because we don't want him to descend. And if input get axis mouse scroll wheel is higher than 0.1, simply call once again the weapon manager change weapon to true. And now we are pretty much done, but there is at one point, let me just find it, and we say we haven't changed, I think, the way we enable the IK from the previous method we used to change the IK. So let me just quickly find it. Let's see where reference we have. Not here, not here. So I see we don't use it over here. Where was it? Let's see what errors we have. Yeah, once again we use the variable instead of the class to our weapon manager, and the name weapon manager, and of course this misses an, where was that? Weapon manager. Let's see what else we have. Close this. Let's go to our OK. Let's disable it. Hit play. And as you can see here, of course we have some errors. Let's see what these errors are. This gets a null reference. Yeah, this doesn't have a target. Why is that? We missed something. Hold on a little bit so that we can find it. Okay, let's see. We have the left hand of our character. It's good you can see this, so you can see how exactly you are fixing problems when they arrive. So the IK doesn't have a left hand when it starts. Let's jump on debug mode. As you can see here, all these are empty. Let's go to our custom IK and they are empty. Something we missed, but I don't know what it is. The left hand is not assigned in the character movement, so let's go over here and see why is that. Let's put that over here and see what could happen. So anyway, let's just drop it for now. Let's just drop it from the inspector, so we'll be done with it. We are already at 1 hour and a half. If we hit play, you see everything plays as intended, except there are some problems with our mouse wheel. It's not exactly as responsive. So let's see why is that. and void update if input get access mouse scroll wheel. This is correct, this is correct. Let's see what happens with our function over here. So anyway, I can't find it right now. Let's fix some. Where are they? Did I miss something? No. Let's see right now. Because this has errors. Correct. This needs the hand placement to be fixed. And the way we can fix this is if we debug our aim, you can simply say aim, go inside scene view, find the hand placement of our pistol, put it to the correct position you want it to have. Of course, right now is the elbow doesn't have the correct position also. So let's just fix the hand placement for now. This is it. Where is it? Save that, copy component, paste component values. Let's just add one more thing. Inside our custom IK, and inside our start, what else we have? A note over here. Where is it? There is something I missed, but I forgot where it is. So anyway, let's go and debug our elbow also. Debug aim, our scene over here. Let's find our elbow, which is down here for some reason. Why it doesn't play? And this one also doesn't have a correct oh yeah, forgot it. God damn it. Yeah, we have wrong because we copy paste the components. We forgot to change this stuff over here, so it was using different hand placements. So just change the bullet spawn position, the hand placement position, and the bullet prefab actually the same. hit play once again, debug AK zone, debug aim, go back to scene view, get the hand placement, lower it, make it to have the correct position or the position you want to have. Of course, right now it has different the wrong animation. It has the weapon animation, and that's because the weapon is at 0. So let's just simply make it to 1, so it has the correct position. And for the gun to play also, to have this correct position, you should also have the correct elbow position. And for some reason we have let's see if we can fix this from over here. This should have been I'm pretty sure the IK doesn't work exactly as it should. And that is why let me see for a little bit. Okay, first off, our weapon manager needs to have a different oh yeah, we debug. Let's not debug this. God damn it. Yeah. Forgot to change also this. We forgot to change our weapon type also. Of course. Yeah. Make sure you make the correct. It's nice because we just make it to make it more simpler, but you see we have an error. You just make it more difficult, and for you also. So let's go back over here. Let's debug the aim. Start aiming. Let's see what's wrong with this. Okay. Now debug the IK. Make the elbow to have the correct position. So I find the problem. Open up your custom IK script and on line 154 on my script anyway, you will find a line that says we have the forearm axis correction dot transform dot parent equals forearm, which you don't actually need this anymore, so delete that and change it to forearm axis correction dot transform dot position to be equals the forearm dot position. And instead of we had forearm axis correction dot transform dot lookat to be forearm dot position, Instead of that, change it to hand.position, and the other stuff should work just fine. So if you save it and hit play now, if we debug the IK debug array and array, he looks a little bit down, so let's just make him look up. And if you go now to scene, if you take the hand, so now you can place it, you can place the hand to the correct position you want him to have. Which is something around over here. Something like that. You can copy this, paste the values. So once again, let's debug his same, and let's debug also the IK for now. Let's find the correct position for his elbow. Make sure that his arm over here doesn't look weird. Find the correct position, something like that, or not, something like that. You can put the hand more. I think the scale is a little off for this, for the gun also, so you can scale it up a bit. Let's leave it somewhere, let's leave it around here. Let's add a new tab over here, the inspector, and froze it so that we have the same, we have the transform of the elbow position over here, and go back to our elbow rifle position and simply copy paste this stuff and copy component, paste the values once again, and now if we hit maximize and play, you can see, of course, the animator is giving us some problems. So let's go to our user input, or let's find where we override. Yeah, we forgot to debug the IK, because if we have this enabled, it doesn't go inside the animator and change the integer of the weapon. So if you hit play, now you see you have the correct animation, and you can change the weapon. It's a little bug right now, and I think there is a problem with the mouse on this PC, so let's see why though. Shouldn't be. Let's just change it, instead of the mouse scroll wheel, let's just give it a key right now. Just say with Q. Change this, comment out this, put instead of the mouse scroll wheel the E, delete this, delete this. So instead of using the mouse scroll wheel, which has some problems, we just use Q and E to change the weapons for now. Let's go back, hit play, Q, E, Q, E. We can have burst fire. And we have single bullets. So that's about it. So see you in the next video.